get down to the area of the iliac crest and below, you know, here we're dropping down into some different nerves, right? We've still got, you know, all this stuff coming out, like the big horsetail coming out of the lumbar, dropping down and eventually bundling up deeper in as which nerve? Sciatic nerve, right? All right, but there's a whole lot of stuff that stays cutaneous, and in this region here, the dominant cutaneous nerves are the cluneal nerves. And the cluneal nerves, some of them go wrap around a little bit higher up, some of them wrap down. Okay, so you got just like a big old network. Okay, and obviously she's got some on both sides. So, a number of different ways that we can work with this here. Okay, but the basic idea again, if we're going to apply skin stretch, a whole bunch of different ways. May I hike this just a little bit? Okay, so I'm going to bring this up just a little bit there so I can get a little skin on skin contact. But if I press along in here, a lot of times when you're pressing in somebody's glutes, you'll find some stuff that's a little bit tender. That's not too bad along here though, is it? Okay.
I think it tends to be like more performance, deeper.
Okay. Let me just check the other side here real quick. Let's see if there's any low-hanging fruit.
It's a little tender, like medius, yeah.
Yeah, like right up in there. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Once in a while, you'll find somebody. You know, you'll touch them somewhere in there, and they about clear the table. All right. Those are the ones that you can really impress. They're just like whoa, because it's like gone really fast. All right. So we've got something a little bit in here. Okay. So what are my options, right? Bunch the skin up, rotate the skin around, apply some kind of lateral skin stretch. Okay. One of my favorite simple ones to do, and again, I can do this with Dyson. I can do it. You know, if I'm working through fabric, I'll usually use Dyson, okay, because then I can just use like the back of my hand and just let gravity do the work. I'll just apply just a little gentle thing, and I'm not pressing into her glute, but rather drawing the skin around the side of her glute. Okay, I want to just slide the skin away from this spot. Okay, if I want to, I might have, here's my monitor point, I might use the palm of my hand here, and I'll spread between the base of this palm and this palm. And I can apply a little bit more stretch in that way, right? A little bit more tissue stretch. When I press in here, anything? Okay. So now that we've found something that seems to work, how does my body configuration look? Does this look like I could stay here for 20 minutes?
Nope.
Yeah, I wouldn't really want to. Okay. Can I find it? That feels a little bit better. Okay. I don't know if I'd still stay here for 20 minutes, but you know, a lot closer to 20 minutes. Okay. And if I need to, I could certainly, you know, I can shift my body to little different configurations if I need to, you know, while still maintaining, you know, with very little change down here. So when I press down here, is that still tender?
It's okay.
Okay. So let me just change the angle just a little bit. So I was kind of going, you know, a little bit more across with one hand, a little bit, okay, so almost a little bit more shearing. Let me try just a little bit more of a straight line. And
That feels better.
That's better. Okay. So this is one of those things where, again, you know, 1 was okay, 2 is better. I'll go with 2. Okay. So, and then we can hang out here again, maybe a couple minutes. Okay. Well, sometimes one of the hardest things is to like have the patience to wait, to give that space between the strokes, to let all this cool stuff in the nervous system happen beyond that immediate sensory change, but then for it to go on and go, okay, now it can stay better. Okay, sometimes a couple minutes is all it takes. You might have to come back and revisit this area in several things, whatever. Okay, their body is going to tell us over time. Okay, I'm going to come back out here. Okay, and I'm just going to bunch it up. And bunch it up, but I've still kept my monitor point. When I press in here, how's that?
Good.
Okay, so she seems to tolerate bunching okay. Okay, is it because I already did the stretching and now it's just less sensitive? We won't know for sure. Okay, I'm just going to accept the, you know, her judgment because it's her subjective emotional experience to this, right? So, can I have you turn on one side or the other? Take your pick. Would you you like this somewhere?
Sure, why not?
Okay. All right, so prone is one thing, okay? So if she's here, does this feel reasonably comfortable on your hip and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she can be here. Her hip is flexed, right? Okay, so we can palpate while she's flexed, right? Okay. If Barrett was pregnant, okay, first month or two, no big deal. She's 6 months pregnant, we're more likely to be here than there, right? Okay, so we'll take that exact same concept, okay, we'll palpate around a little bit. Not too bad.
No, but definitely sort of that you have to access that tissue more.
Okay, I'm just gonna check around a little bit more around the greater trochanter there. Yeah, I mean, if I pressed hard enough, we could really find some stuff, or create some stuff, as the case may be. I'm just gonna pick a spot here. Okay, let's say that this happened to be a real tender point. Okay, so if my tender point is up in here, you know, in what direction might I want to try stretching the skin?
Toward the table.
Yeah. Away, right? Okay. Can I apply a little stretch going the other way also? Of course, I can monitor. Okay. Can I hang out here for a while? Sure. Why not? I could sit down and do this if I wanted to. Okay. Could I use my Dyson here? Of course. Okay. Now notice the indentation of my hand on her thigh here. Okay. Why is my hand indenting that much? To keep the grip. So can I have a piece of her Dyson?
I think it's on the floor there. Is this good?
Perfect. So I just want to look at the indentations of my fingers. Okay, now go ahead and drop it right under my palm. Okay, see how much lighter I can float and still get that grip? Okay, so again, now you have the Dyson, I just don't have to press in as much. I don't have to eagle claw as much to get the same kind of grip. Okay, and again, I can also use that in bunching. Here her hip is flexed. What if, I'm gonna bring that out a little bit. Maybe this, you know, it's okay. I'm gonna keep it a little straighter. Our hip isn't. Okay, as I press along in here, did that
It's okay,
move,
it
move
pinches
to that
the joint.
position? Okay, on the outside or on the inside of the joint?
Like on the SI.
Back
like,
here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna support it up a little bit. Okay, if the knee drops down, not so good.
Not so good, yeah.
Okay, so as her leg adducts, that adds irritation to it. But if I keep it up, neutral or slightly abducted, that's better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so am I working physically hard right now? No, I'm letting gravity do most of the work. I'm just like keeping a little hook right here. Okay, now when I press along here, not too bad?
Nope, it's good.
Okay. Now where's my skin stretch? Ooh, it's a little tougher, right? Well, now that I know what she can tolerate better, okay, I could rearrange myself.
Or there's a surgery, you can have a third arm attached, and then you can just pass
Sometimes
yourself
that-
the Dyson.
Sometimes that would be very helpful. I'm just saying, I'm doing some of these little changes and adjustments so that you guys can see. It's like, don't get too locked into one particular position. Be creative. Okay, be creative when what you knew is not quite fitting. You may have to cut your key a little bit for that lock. Okay. Or maybe I'll come back here. Right? Okay. So maybe I'll split the difference. Okay. Flexibility. Flexibility in your thinking a little bit. It's about the concepts, not about the exact. Okay. Gluteal nerves. So look, if you take a look here, does this look somewhat similar to what I started to do? Sort of. Okay, little different position. So here, okay, again, this is going to be around the glutes, lateral hip, often around the greater trochanter. Okay, that area around the greater trochanter that can be really tender on a lot of people. What do they usually ascribe that to? Sciatica and or bursitis and or piriformis. Like the big three bugaboos, right? So, bringing this back. Does that feel okay?
Little pinch.
Okay, that's fine. How about now?
Yep, better.
Okay, so I just had to prop her again, slightly more abduction. Okay. You know, if I was shorter, I might have her come back further on the table so she's closer to the edge. That would make it easier for me to get my leg into a proper position for her. Again, you can be kind of creative. You can add or subtract bolstering. Okay. Now, I asked before when I was in this similar position, what about my skin stretch? Okay. What about adding a little medial rotation? If we medially rotate the thigh, we're going to put a little bit more skin stretch back here. And if we need to, we could try doing a little inversion, eversion, inversion or eversion with the foot, and see if that makes a positive change. Okay. So if I'm just here and I just add the medial rotation of the thigh, and I press up in here, still tolerable. Okay. So I haven't set off anything new. Okay. And if she's just like, that's pretty good, but I could try just doing a little twist. And unfortunately, this handle can go either way. Okay. So you can work with this a couple different ways, either inverting it or everting it.
So are you supporting the entire weight of her leg with one arm?
Yeah. I have her leg resting on my thigh. Okay.
So that's where the majority of the weight is?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then I can just use this to steer. Okay. You may need to adjust that a little bit depending on your client. You may need to incorporate a lot of bolstering. I keep a lot of pillows at my place so that myself or any of my therapists will not lack for need of bolstering. Sometimes we really have to build a pile up.
Gomdens are awesome. They're rectangular blocks. I make my own because they cost like $120. But
That's a chunk.
What do you make them?
Okay. I'm going to have you go back to prone, but with this hip like right towards the edge of the table.
Beached. Like that?
Close enough. Yep. Okay, so another option. Okay, I can sit down when I'm doing this, or I can kneel down. Okay. Well, let's say we're dealing with the same area. Maybe it's just more comfortable for her to be prone. Okay. So another option is I can bring this up. Okay. So she seemed to do okay with her hip was flexed. Maybe laying on that left side isn't a good option, but maybe she can lay like this. Now we can have this hip in a similar position. I can have her legs supported. If I want to, I can support it a little bit differently. Okay. Does that feel okay so far?
Yep.
Okay. So assuming this was her tender spot, maybe we didn't set off any new alarms up in here. No? Okay, so far, just for example, let's say like this was the big spot before, maybe now it's less, but if I want to change that a little bit, now I can take the heel and add a little rotation at the heel. So, I will often start with adding a little medial rotation, okay? And then I'll give it a little chance, check it out, okay? And if that doesn't seem to make much of a difference, then I'll try doing a little lateral rotation, okay? In most cases, for me, it seems like adding a little inversion and medial rotation, for me, seems like it usually does, works pretty well on most people, so that's the direction I'll usually go first. But I'm gonna go with whatever works best for them, okay? So, 3 things. Well, technically 3 to 6 things, depending on, right? So face down, doing cool stuff up here at the glutes, side lying, cool stuff up here at the glutes, side lying with the leg back and rotating, and then prone here
again, doing close-up. And if you want to add a little internal, external rotation of the thigh and not just the lower leg, you could do that too. Okay? All right. Partner up, new